One of those promises we made was that you would come to understand who Ms. Heard is, that she is a deeply troubled person, violently afraid of abandonment, desperate for attention and approval.
This is Snack Size Stories, and today we have finally reached the conclusion of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, with both teams giving their closing arguments today in court. I'm going to roll some clips for you here of some of the highlights from the closing arguments given by Camille Vasquez, one of Johnny Depp's attorneys, and she absolutely killed it. She did exactly what you're supposed to do in a closing argument. She highlighted all of the favorable and most convincing evidence they had, while also discrediting Amber Heard, the opposing counsel, the opposing party. So let's go ahead and play some of these highlights and then give a brief breakdown on why they are important.
And in her relationship with Mr. Depp, she was violent, she was abusive, and she was cruel. You heard from Dr. Shannon Kirby, who explained that Ms. Heard suffers from borderline personality disorder and histrionic personality disorder. These are disorders that are characterized by anger, sometimes uncontrollable and explosive anger, and a powerful, sometimes desperate need for attention, acceptance, and approval. Fear of abandonment is the deepest fear. A person with these disorders will suffer from dramatically fluctuating moods and can sometimes be violent and aggressive. They can also be charming and likable, but they can be incredibly manipulative and wild. An emotional roller coaster with wild swings, from idolizing their partner to devaluing him. In fact, you saw that when she completed testing with her own forensic psychology expert, Dr. Don Hughes. Ms. Heard self-reported that she felt like she had 3 or 4 different personalities, and that sometimes her temper would explode and she'd completely lose control. Ms. James testified that Ms. Heard literally spat in her face. You heard from Ms. Heard's former best friend, Rocky Pennington, that Ms. Heard once hit her when Ms. Pennington did not do her best to meet Ms. Heard's needs. You also heard from Beverly Leonard that she once witnessed Ms. Heard assault her then partner in Seattle Airport in 2009. You also heard overwhelming evidence from Mr. Depp and the people that were around him and Ms. Heard during their relationship, that Mr. Depp suffered persistent verbal and physical abuse at the hands of Ms. Heard.
So the significance of this part was to show that Amber Heard is mentally unstable. Johnny Depp's team presented several witnesses who diagnosed Amber as having borderline personality disorder or split personality disorder, and even used Amber's own psychologist who admitted, yes, Johnny Depp's team got her to admit that Amber told her about her multiple personalities and disorders with her own mental health. This is as strong as evidence as you could ever hope for. I mean, the opposing counsel's witness gave you exactly what you wanted to hear, what you wanted to show the jury, and they highlighted that. They made Amber appear mentally unstable. That does 2 things. It supports Johnny Depp's story that she is a mentally manipulative abuser, and it also discredits Amber Heard's testimony where she denied having these types of problems and downplayed them significantly. Camille Vasquez also gave a brief rundown on what the symptoms of this personality disorder are. She made a point to highlight things that the jury saw for themselves. They heard audio recordings where she was losing her cool, where she admitted she completely lost control. And the jury also saw Amber Heard turn on her charming side while trying to stay calm during questioning, downplaying all of the bad things about her, and all while staring into the jury's eyes while saying this, trying to appear convincing and charming. This was a genius tactic by Johnny Depp's team, showing the jury not only stuff that they have in evidence, but also stuff that they saw with their very own eyes to support their side of the story.
She spun a story of shocking, overwhelming, brutal abuse. She came into this courtroom prepared to give the performance of her life, and she gave it. Ms. Heard's acting coach, Christina Sexton, testified that Ms. Heard has difficulty crying when she is acting. You saw it. Ms. Heard sobbing without tears, while spinning elaborate, exaggerated, fantastical accounts of abuse and everything going on in her mind almost a decade prior while enduring that abuse. It was a performance. Ms. Heard has told you that she has mountains of evidence of abuse, but there are no medical records reflecting she sustained any injuries from the abuse she claims.
This was also an incredible moment during the closing arguments when Camille Vasquez tells the jury that Amber was giving the performance of her life. I love that she also pointed out that there was no tears shed during her testimony. This is a point I've talked about in previous videos where she is just super emotional on the stand, telling about these traumatic stories that supposedly happened, but she's not crying. There's not one tear shed. She continues to wipe away tears that aren't there. She has tissues for no reason. This supports their argument that it's all just an act. This is her performance of a lifetime. Well, at least she attempted to give the performance of her lifetime. I mean, it was still terrible acting, but it was by far the most entertaining acting I've seen her do. I mean, it was just straight up funny to watch her tell these wild stories with all of these weird inflections in her voice without shedding one tear the whole time. And they also had the incredible move of having Amber's acting coach testify that she had trouble shedding real tears during acting. This gives huge support to their story that Amber was faking the whole time. She was faking all of the stuff she said during her testimony. It's because she was acting. There was no tears shed because she was acting. It was in a scenario where she has difficulty shedding tears because it's not genuine. And this is exactly what you're supposed to do in closing arguments. You highlight all of your best facts, your best evidence, your best witnesses that you have showed the jury, and you also back that up with things that the jury has seen themselves from the opposing party. You tell them what they've seen, you explain why that supports your case, and you back that up with things that are in evidence that the jury has seen that they cannot argue with. This is a textbook and perfectly executed closing argument. Now it's up to the jury. Hopefully we'll get a verdict in soon, and I'm definitely Team Johnny Depp.